Hi everyone, this is Laura Cole. You'll have to forgive me, I'm getting over a bout of pneumonia, so if my presentation is a little quiet, I apologize. My topic is regarding the research proposal argument for the impacts of caregiving for individuals with Alzheimer's disease. So the focus of my study happened because the prevalence of Alzheimer's disease is truly increasing over the course of the next 20 years, and it's expected to really triple or so by the year 2050. The financial impact that the United States is currently facing related to the Alzheimer's disease is greater than $236 billion in 2016. Um, such an important topic that Healthy People 2020 has made this an additional initiative, and for their plan for 2025, for Healthy People 2025. So the problem statement that I focused on was if caregiver burden has a great impact on an individual in the community, limiting their ability to participate in their own daily activities and improve their quality of life for the fear of not providing adequate care for their loved ones. So the purpose of my project is to identify if through education, if an individual caregiver can decrease their feelings of burden or stress as evidenced by decreased score on the caregiver burden scale. So the objective and research question that I've proposed utilize the identification of the education that's appropriate for the individuals who will be participating in the study. We want to focus on the difference between education and training. Education truly being things like health literacy and finding an impact within the community that way, versus training, which is hands-on, one-on-one attention to really identify particular motives to improve an individual's ability to care for their loved one, utilizing compensatory techniques, that kind of thing. Identifying if there's a correlation between the length of time an individual has been providing care and their current level of stress, their age and their current level of stress, or the socioeconomical status and their level of stress. We also want to provide descriptive statistics regarding the mean, median, and mode of all of the results of the pre-test and post-test of the caregiver burden scale. Through the theoretical framework using MOHO and the ecology of human performance, I find that it's fascinating and very important to identify how individuals actually react within their environment. The MOHO, excuse me, MOHO model really focuses on the individual and how they react to their current level of occupation and what they truly value. Whereas the ecology of human performance focuses on the interaction between a person and their environment. An environment can really change how an individual really behaves. So allowing for improved compensatory techniques, not only for a caregiver, but also for their loved one that's suffering from Alzheimer's, could really improve the overall feelings of burden. So this study to me is significant because it's related to the current needs of our aging population. The cost of healthcare is really increasing. The vision of AOTA and the assemblage of the Healthy People 2020 has really stated that their goal for Alzheimer's disease and other dementias is to decrease their morbidity and improve the quality of life of those who are currently suffering from that. So through a survey, a pre-test and post-test, I found that it would probably be the most impactful way to measure if the education is going to really make an impact on an individual's quality of life. The caregiver burden scale will be utilized, but there's also a number of questions regarding objective information such as age or socioeconomic status. So the setting for my study would be the Sweet and Clark's Senior Center in Brockport, New York, where they currently have a caregiver burden support group that actually occurs every Wednesday They have about 35 participants within this support group, so they have a really great turnout for a rural area. Through the support group, I would find the convenience sample and poll the participants to make sure that they're voluntarily participating and that they're interested in participating in all 4 education classes that would be provided. Collecting the data would come from a pretest of the caregiver burden scale. It would be provided before the first education course through the caregiver burden social group. And I want to encourage our participants really to be as honest as they possibly can and accurate as they possibly can to ensure that we have a reliable responses. The post-test for the caregiver burden scale will be provided following all 4 training sessions. The last education course would then come with the follow-up caregiver burden scale. The objective information regarding their demographics will also be compiled during the first survey of collection. So the data analysis will take place through significance testing, a t-test, and a p-value to identify if there's truly a significance. We'd also use this data to identify the mean, median, and mode as well. So validity of the caregiver burden scale has been reliable through several previously established studies. It's proved to be reliable. My only concern is that the caregiver burden scale was developed in 1981, so identifying the validity continues throughout. I feel like it's also important to provide a triple check process for the data that will be entered into a spreadsheet to ensure that the data is being scripted correctly. So some of the ethical considerations within the study, we find it very easy to build rapport with our patients, but I feel like the participants also need to have a feeling of comfort with those who are providing the course and completing the study. So building a rapport with the participants, maybe observing several of the support groups a couple weeks before starting the study, and making sure that we report all outcomes, not just the positive outcomes. I know that that has been an ethical concern in many occasions, and it's our duty to make sure that we tell all the accurate information. So the conclusion of my study is that we really truly need to have future research to allow for greater participation in caregiver education. As occupational therapists, we provide education to our residents, our clients, our patients, our families as often as possible. However, we don't primarily focus directly on caregiver education, typically focus on the client. So we really need to start focusing as well on the preventative measures of what we can do to keep our aging population in their homes possibly. And I feel like this could be a really great opportunity to provide as much support to our caregivers in the community as possible. One of the most important things that I feel like I found through the study was a study that was completed by Letters, Goldill, and Harrison, and it sounds like they found that caregivers do feel burden, but through their research, they weren't truly looking for the burden portion. They were looking for, how do they cope? And unfortunately, it seems that 75% of those individuals who were feeling caregiver burden did not reach out for help. They actually searched for a long-term care placement for their loved ones. So if this can help prevent long-term care admissions and decrease the cost of living for all of those involved, that would be great. Here are my additional references. And I really look forward to hearing all of your comments. Thank you very much.